So, welcome back to Just Me podcast. And today we are now, Peter. I have to ask you how you spell your or say your surname because it's wonderfully got lots of different letters in it. So, this is about Peter. What is your surname?
So my real name is Piotr Skoczylas, and Piotr in Polish means is Peter, so I just go with Peter as it's easy for everybody to remember.
And say your surname again.
Skoczylas,
That's so
yeah,
fantastic. It's brilliant. And we met a few months ago, didn't we, at the Cardiff Mental Health Show, which is brilliant.
that's right.
And we kind of thought, because of the work that you do, and you're going to tell us in a minute, it would be really nice to have a kind of conversation. So, Peter, who are you and what do you do?
The who are you question is a really interesting one because just yesterday I spoken to my partner about this, and I asked her, "Well, who is Naomi?" And we struggled with explaining that, and then I spoken to someone who is in mental health, and that question is such a big one because we create stories, and those stories may not be true. And so, as I could
Right.
say that, I was bullied at school, and I am very lonely because I built walls around myself. It's true if I believe in that story. It may not be uh, um, the truth if I want to rewrite that story for something else, someone who I am truly, really. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So I think the story I want to tell you about today is that my name is Peter, Piotr, but Peter is fine. I run a coffee cart in Penarth, Wales, and um, I bake cookies from home and I talk to people. And it started at the beginning of pandemic, where I decided to go out instead of stay at home and show that I care about something bigger than myself.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so where did life start for you?
Well, I'm from Poland originally, and I grew up there, and uh, with my family of mom, dad, and it's funny, family. We kind of scattered around, and for a really long time. And I think I'm just doing a lot of work around this. I don't feel connected to either my country of origin or my family.
Wow.
And these are the kind of moments of my life I kind of locked away. And that's why some of the emotions are very hard for me to feel.
Okay.
So like love and joy, it's kind of in peaceful spaces locked away a little bit. So I'm doing a lot of work around reconnecting with this, and the question of where my life began is Poland. It is the beautiful country of independence and fighting for freedom.
Wow.
I want to connect with that because there's so much beauty around that. And I moved away from home when I was 18, moved to Ireland. It's all about music and realizing that I love someone and being heartbroken and being, deeply, deeply heartbroken for 3 years and figuring out what the hell I want to do with my life, picking up a camera, studying photography,
Right.
moving then to London. Well, before that, meeting my partner Naomi in Ireland, then moving to London, working for Jamie Oliver, and it was just a big deal of like fresh pasta, homemade, and all of this world, which I'm so grateful for this opportunity. And then my son happened as we didn't plan both kids, um, and we decided to move to Cardiff. From Cardiff, we moved to Penarth, uh, and and I got a job here in a coffee shop, and from that I discovered how beautiful community it is, and
Wow.
then everything is a history from that on.
That's so lovely. And so the company that you've got now, tell us the story behind the name because it's really beautiful.
Yeah, so reconnecting with my heritage, it's in the name Stół in Polish, and the company is called Stol Coffee. I took the stew and I turned it into stall because in English, oo and ow doesn't exist. So to make it a bit more easy to understand and remember for people, I turned this into stall. And stew in Polish means a table. And I love the idea of the most important piece of furniture in a household being a table. These days, I feel like we focus on the couch and the TV and
Yeah.
tubs of Ben and Jerry's and crisps, right? Like it's very relatable here for
Yeah.
me. But I believe the table is so much more important because we gather around it, we eat, we talk, we play board games, card games, we joke, and it's that symbol of connection. And so I wanted to bring that symbol of connection to the people in the form of a moving table, which is a coffee cart. And I've been telling that story ever since. And every single time I say that, it sparks something in people's eyes, and it's beautiful to see how the truth and the passion ripples through what I do.
That's so lovely. So, what have you learnt along the way then?
Um, yeah, this is a big question because I've learned so much, and mostly about myself. And I've learned that together is better. Learned that
Oh,
the idea of being positive and keep pushing through adversity of life, and understanding that even though things in life may be uncomfortable, but that's the point, because growth is in the uncomfortable of life, realizing that the beautiful ideas can happen around meaningful and powerful conversations, and to realize that life is a gift. We've got only one, and we've got to celebrate every single minute of it. These are very, very powerful ideas. And I want to say, I want to take responsibility for my life. I want to show up for something I care about. And through doing that, I want to inspire people to do what the hell they care about and who they are, really, truly. And the hardest bit is to connect with that truth, with that passion, with that independence. Um, but I think this is what I want to do. I want to continue that work of self reflection and realization, connecting with those big ideas, and then hopefully I can surround myself. And I already do that anyway, but owning it is a different thing. Um, and surround myself with people who believe in those ideas, and that's how we can make the world a better place.
that's so lovely. So, who and what has kind of helped you along the way?
Well, everybody who engages with the bike and gets the coffee is a huge contribution, like, and it's such a big gratitude to to see how people enjoy a simple thing, hopefully done right. I brew only filter coffee with the limitations of the bike and the business itself. There's only so much I can do. There is a lot of hills in Penard, so I decided not to have big coffee machine with a water boiler and grinders and syrups and all this stuff. No, I focus on what can I actually do very well. So that's the mindset of being positive. That hey, it's COVID and it's tough. Yeah, I know it's tough, but we can still do something about it. Like it's not game over. Like it's never game over. To consider that you haven't done everything. I hear that sometimes. And I say to myself, you know what? I tried everything and nothing worked. Not true. There is always something else we can do. And that's what I asked myself, why would someone buy coffee from me? So that's the story of the table and connection, that coffee is a beautiful social glue. That's one thing. Second thing, to realize that that I can't have a coffee machine and I can't do a flat white, which I absolutely love. And, this is one of my favorite things, to have a flat white and a cake in a coffee shop, and talk to a friend. But I can't do that. So what can I do? And
Sorry.
what I could do is filter coffee and homemade cookies to show that I care. So I bake cookies myself, and now brownies as well, which is an interesting journey there.
Oh, so
The new a little nugget here, a side note, is that the new design, the new sticker we designed with my graphic designer. You've probably heard this, "fake it till you make it."
yeah, yeah.
Uh, I don't agree, but we turned it into "bake it till you make it," which
Ah,
is
we like
really fun. Yeah. And um, And what I realized is that what I can do is brew coffee, filter coffee in thermo flasks, put them in the bike, bake cookies from home, and they're just in boxes, and it's very, very simple.
brilliant.
And filter coffee in the UK is a very hard sell, because
Mm,
most of the profits and most of the sales happen
mm,
around flat white cappuccino latte.
mm,
So the big brands will also encourage you to have it extra large, and they would try to
mm,
sell you like an extra biscuit with it or something like that, and that's how they make their money. What
mm.
I said is, look, I want to sell you a small cup of something I really care about, and it's also in the logo that it's a beautiful coffee journey. How knowing where your products are from is so important. That's why I only work with specialty grade direct trade coffee, to so we can trace it in some cases back to an actual tree where the coffee came from,
Brilliant.
which is fantastic, and that's an inspiration in itself. And with all that, I started something which most coffee industry people told me not to do. It's not gonna work, man. Filter coffee, no.
Yeah.
it's not going to work. But it wasn't about filter coffee. It's never about the products I sell. It's about the mission behind it. And I think authenticity in business is so important because we don't really get to experience a lot of it. That's
Mm,
why it's also important to support
mm,
independence, the people you actually believe in, not just the convenience of going into the mainstream, which I do myself. Like sometimes it's just you got to do what you got to do, but there's
mm.
more thinking behind it.
That's really lovely. So, what keeps you going when things get tough? Because they do, don't they? Life is tough at times.
Mm, mm. Um, and it all comes back to the question you asked before, like who helped me along the way, which I don't think I really answered that. It connects with everybody who buys their cup of coffee or who just. But actually, it's not about someone who comes and buys a cup of coffee. It's actually about someone who shows up and says, "This is what's happening in my life right now,
Mm,
uh, and this is what makes me excited, and this is what I
mm,
struggle with."
mm.
Following that pattern, that truth. It's so inspiring. And uh, all of this, and those ideas show up in the way that I come early to see the sunrise at Penart Seafront. And sunrise right now is 10 to 5, something around that time. Like, that's stupid time. That's so early. So for me to show up there at sunrise, which I've been failing to do, I'm there around 5:20, so it's still very early, but the sunrise dot that's challenge right now because to for me to be there on time, I need to wake up at 4 a.m. because I need to brew the coffee and I need to prepare everything, and that's like on the dot, like So I cannot wait for 6 a.m. sunrises. And it's funny because we say that it's doing something weird at stupid o'clock, showing up and watching the sunrise, and some people go to the water to do a cold water therapy, which is a
Yeah,
different
yeah.
story altogether. But what excites me is showing up there and seeing that people do something crazy before the world wakes up, and it's so fantastic. And then on the Sunday, I've got this thing called Together is Better in the park, where people show up and bring blankets and have conversations. Well, I call them the powerful meaningful conversations, and get to know each other better, or get to know new people. And I've got two kids, and I'm the only one bringing money to the household right now. So the challenge around keeping it all together, and sometimes we
Mm.
sleep for 2 hours because kids wake up at night or something like that. To have people showing up no matter what, and being held accountable that I'm late 3 minutes as a joke, but still,
Yeah.
keep helps me to stay motivated, because I know that I'm not doing something just for myself. I do something for others. I see how it ripples. I see how it's helpful, and
Mm.
with that in mind, I want to do more of that, and that helps me to show up.
That's brilliant. So, what advice would you pass on to others?
So we keep on saying, "Be yourself." Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, cool. But what the hell does this mean? I would say follow your truth. That is a little bit, that gives me a little bit more freedom around the figuring out of who am I. And you guys do a lot of work around emotions, and emotional intelligence is such a big topic these days, right? And I feel like it's so important to be in touch with your emotions
Mm.
and say, I don't feel I don't feel like everyone else is feeling on Instagram. Is there something wrong with me?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
nothing is ever wrong. Nothing is ever good or bad. It's just the story you tell yourself. And you get to choose, and you've got the power to change that story. Owning it is the first step into connecting with your truth. And the truth comes with the emotion first,
Mm.
then the thought follows. The emotions are more powerful than the thoughts because emotions can really change the thought pattern, uh, to what I've discovered about myself so far. So that is really interesting. So what does it mean to be yourself is to follow the truth. Where the truth comes from is from the emotions. So get in touch with your emotions. Do what works for you, not others, and that's going to really help to help you make the right decisions for you. And guess what's going to happen once you start living life like this is you're going to cut out every single person who doesn't support you, who doesn't love you, who doesn't want to be with you really, but we choose those connections for whatever reason. You don't have to do that. You can just be yourself, with yourself. You're never alone. You're never lonely, because you can't be, because you have yourself, and everything what you ever need is already there within you. So then that's a nice idea. Okay, how can I follow with that? And it all starts, and I can go on forever in that direction, but it all starts from the emotions and the thought process coming
Mm,
from being in touch with your emotions. And that's what I mean when I say follow the truth, your truth.
that's lovely. So if you could go back to your younger self, maybe at the age of 10, what would you,
Hmm.
what advice would you give the younger Peter?
Try to read the books, don't just play PlayStation, you know. But it's funny that you said, 10 years old, because this is when I broke my leg. So I was out of my life for about a year, or year and a bit, because after I broke my leg, there was a lot of complications, and I had to have a couple of surgeries. And my leg stopped growing, and my foot, my feet are different. I've got number 9 and number 11, because
Wow.
I think I broke a nerve, and it just stopped the growth of my foot. So that's why I wear odd Crocs, which you were able
Mm,
to
mm,
discover
mm,
on
lovely.
that day we met. And I use that story to bring something fun and exciting to talk about as my personal brand, which is another conversation to have.
Mm,
But the biggest advice is like this: I had so much time, and PlayStation saved my life. I mean, it was just something I could do so I don't go crazy, because I was bedridden for about a year. And and yes, there's a story of loneliness, how I was only visited by my friends once, and I've discovered that nobody, or I told myself the story, nobody cares about me, and nobody wants to be with me, and all this stuff. And there's stories around that. Um, and in a way, it was kind of the it. There's a lot of pain and suffering, not just
mm,
physical but mental. And in the same time, it made me who I am now. So that
brilliant.
is a huge uncomfortable here. That even though going through that, there's so much to pull out of that time.
Mm,
And the best advice is like, there's so much time, at least start reading a book. I remember like lying down in bed and having like 3 or 4 books right next to me, because I was supposed to do homework. I was homeschooled
yeah.
that time. I was like, just let's just play this thing, and my mother didn't want to push me, because I was in constant pain on high painkillers. So she was like, just do what. And I think I'm so grateful for my mother not to push me to do something I didn't want to do at the time. But yeah, I think reading books is something I want to get into more. I still struggle with reading books.
Yeah.
I don't find time, because it's not like you never have time for something. You get to choose and make the time to do something what you think and know works for you. But I tend not to do that. So that's a big one.
Brilliant. What legacy would you like to leave behind for others? Not saying that you're at the end of your life, not saying any of that, but what
Mm.
would you like to really leave behind?
Yeah, that's a big one, because I've got 2 kids. My son is
Mm,
6. My daughter Maya is coming up to 3.
wow.
And I asked myself that question, what kind of world do I want to live, and leave for those two? And the biggest legacy for me wouldn't be intangible. It would be in the ideas and the uh, the mindset I can help and
Brilliant.
ingrain in their minds,
Brilliant.
and that is going to live forever through them and through people I touch through the work I do. So the
Brilliant.
legacy is the community built on principles of love and peace and hope and positivity. And if I can create, and then from that we go into tangible, right? That's okay. So how do we then
Mm, mm,
create that legacy, so
mm.
people know that, oh, okay, this is that symbol created by that person, and it means that, right? Some people get pedestals, get the monuments and stuff. I don't care about that. I want the legacy to live in people's minds, that hey, there was the guy called Peter. He used to sell coffee, and he used to talk about love in that way. What a beautiful time that was. I think
Mm,
that would be the biggest thing I can never leave after myself. That people will remember those stories, and they will tell those stories, of whatever I'm going to create in my next whatever. I did actually the obituary exercise, which is writing your own obituary, which is really funny. And what came up for me is that I wanna I want to die in a forest with in the tree house at 120 and people, dancing around the fire and having great food around the big round table and acoustic guitar music kind of playing. I play guitar as well, and that's a beautiful thing to leave after for sure.
That's so lovely. So, what's the magic you bring? Do you think,
Mm.
whatever creator blessed you with to pass on? I mean, I love your whole thing about, together is better and the table, but what is the magic you think you've got?
The tagline for the business is to create opportunities for positive connections,
Okay.
and those connections. I think my highest values are belonging and connection, and
Yeah.
I think I've been doing this since I was like 12, listening, getting to the depth of what is the struggle or what is the passion, what is the beautiful the beauty of your existence, and you probably can hear that.
Yeah.
My daughter Maya just went through the door, and
Hi,
she's
Maya. I love you. I love
yeah,
you.
well, she's outside, but she may be screaming, so bear with me. um and that magic, I feel, is connecting the dots. When you look at night sky with a lot of stars, once you start connecting the dots, you may start to see some patterns and shapes, and your mind and thoughts and emotions work in exactly the same way. That we can and note that it's not I or you, it's we together, because
Mm.
together is better. So the magic I do is to help you and myself to connect the dots, whether it is with two different thoughts you didn't think they were connected, or two different people never knew each other. And from those connecting the dots, then we live like, connected and deeper and fuller and more loving life. And that's the magic I like the world to receive from me.
That's so lovely. So, what's your fizzy pop moment when you? I mean, we all get that feeling, don't we? Where we feel that we're full of fizzy pop inside. So, when do you get? I mean, obviously with your children, but when else do you get that sort of feeling of wow, this is amazing? And
Yeah, so I had this moment a few times when, on a Sunday in the park I mentioned before,
Mm.
I'm talking to a lot of people around the coffee cart. We bring bubbles. There's people playing with hula hoops, and Dan is bringing the juggling kids. And then I remember once we had a harp in the park event where this lady brought a harp, a whole full harp, and she's playing in the park, and that was like, in between the lockdowns. And at some point, I remember I stood back and I looked at those little pockets of people kind of dotted around. And you're talking like 50 people in the park. And the
wow,
people brought blankets, or they're sitting on benches or gathered around the harp and asking questions of the harpist, and they are on the bike. And I just stood back, and I'm a photographer, so I was going around taking photos, and I stood back and I looked at all this stuff. I'm like, wow, this is super cool. Like,
mm,
there are
mm,
people talking, and they didn't know each other. Some of them did, yes, but
wow,
most of them didn't know each other. And here we are, and that's the fizzy pop of connecting the dots. That
beautiful.
that I had an idea of: come to the park, don't buy anything, just show up, be yourself, and see how it goes. And people actually did. And it's like I never won anything. Like I never won a lottery ticket, or I never whatever competition I ever participated, I never won anything. Particularly around singing, and I used to like vocal competitions and stuff like that, and I never won anything. And that made me feel like I won something.
Wow, wow,
And it was more important than ever because it wasn't about winning. And that feeling of wow, this is magic came in that moment. And what a beautiful time to live, to be able to connect with my own purpose and why, and go after that, and then to see that it ripples and it has actually some meaning for people, so they have enough emotional response, so then they have the thought to put the shoes on and get out somewhere. Like, that's huge.
that's so lovely. That's so lovely. So, what if you were to use one word to describe yourself, Peter? What would that be?
What a big question. Yeah,
Yeah, big one.
what a big question. Yeah.
Just one word.
Word, one word. Hmm. I need to look in the dictionary. I know that I want to be loved, and that's the ultimate answer. I'm not sure if I'm there, but I know that love is there.
Oh, how lovely.
Yeah, yeah. It's an ultimate answer to everything, and as cliche as it is, it's very true. So I don't connect with the idea that I am love, but I want to be loved, and I know that I am, but I am disconnected from it still. But I'm getting there.
That's so lovely. I love that. So, what does the future look like for you now?
Yeah, what I told you before we started recording,
Mm.
I want to become a life coach,
Wow, good for you.
and the idea of connecting the dots. I mean, it's
Mm.
so huge,
Mm.
and I imagine a workshop in an old garage in Penarth, nobody knows about. It's somewhere in the alleyway, and it's by appointment only when, 10, 12 people meet around a big table with different colored bar stools.
Oh,
And
brilliant.
and
Brilliant.
it's a coffee bar with a bakery. So I keep on, doing the bar thing, but once a month, we meet for those. We meet in this space created for the powerful conversations, and in the group coaching session, and probably one to one through the month, we'll be able to really shift people's lives and help them to reach their goals. And it is about figuring out who you actually are, which beautifully links into your first question: who am I? Because it's
Mm-hmm.
such a hard thing to answer.
Mm,
And if
huge.
you don't know, and we don't know the stories we tell ourselves until someone else says, "Hey, I saw you did that. How did it make you feel, and why did you do that?" Like, whether it's positive, negative, or whatever story, you know, owning that, and it's such a powerful thing. Becoming a life coach, workshop space, a coffee bar slash bakery, and working with people who believe in the same thing is the future for sure.
That's so lovely. Thank you so much, Peter. Lovely, lovely to meet you again. And I love this whole thing where you say together is better. I really
Hmm.
do. And you're right. It is. But I also love the thing you said at the beginning, which is about truth. And truth is our interpretation of life, our lives, the lives of others.
Mm.
But that whole search for man's meaning in terms of truth or whatever is beautiful, isn't it?
And it's the hardest thing you ever do.
It's the hardest thing.
But I can promise you 100% that it's always worth it to follow that truth.
And especially when now you've got, two young children, that lens, that mirror is always there, isn't it? It's
Mm,
like, well, what is the truth that I'm sharing with my family, to myself and to others?
mm.
And
Uh,
that's that.
a little nugget of information. I'm very grateful for the fact that someone is helping me out with the garage right now, and I stored the bike. And right in front of that garage, there's a lady, an older lady. She's over 70 years old, and sometimes she will come up to the garage and say, "Hey, so how are you?" And it just turns out that she is a coach, and she's been a coach for the last 35 years, a
Wow.
counselor, yeah. And that's what she said to me when I said I struggle a little bit as a father. Like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know if I'm doing the right
Mm,
thing.
mm,
And she goes, "Well, number one thing what kids need from their parents is their parents to be themselves, and
yeah.
that's the power of following the truth. To be
Beautiful.
yourself." Yeah, and that's a big
Beautiful.
one.
That's huge. That's really lovely. Peter, thank you for sharing airtime with us. And we'll put all
Thank
your
you.
details in the biog and stuff. And thank you and journey well. And we'll keep in touch. I'm sure. I'm sure one day we'll meet up again.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
You're very welcome.